You've been there, right? You're about to make a huge purchase, and you're staring at two options, one with a really tempting low price, and another that's way more expensive but promises high quality. It's a classic problem. But you know, when that purchase is a critical piece of industrial gear, making the wrong call isn't just about a little buyer's remorse. It can literally cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. So today, let's break down exactly why that cheaper option can end up being the most expensive mistake you'll ever make.
So that's the big question we're tackling. When you're buying something like an industrial power transformer, this is a piece of equipment that's going to run 24/7 for decades. What's the smarter play? Do you save a ton of cash up front, or do you invest in quality? The answer might feel kind of obvious, but trust me, the real numbers behind this decision are genuinely surprising.
Okay, let's make this real. Imagine you've got two choices. On one hand, a budget Tier 3 transformer for 12 grand. On the other, a premium Tier 1 unit for 30 grand. Whoa, that is a 150% price jump. The budget option looks like a massive win, right? Your accounting department is going to love you. But, hang on, look closer. The premium one has a lifespan that could be twice as long and a failure rate that is 6 times lower. And this, right here, is where that simple sticker price starts to tell a very, very different story.
Because that sticker price? Oh, that is just the down payment. It's only the beginning. The real costs of owning and running one of these machines are almost completely invisible, and they are racking up the bill every single second that transformer is plugged in.
So there are 3 big hidden costs you gotta know about. First, you've got no load losses. This is the energy the transformer just burns by being on 24/7, even if it's not powering anything. It's kind of like a car idling in the driveway. Then you have load losses. That's the energy wasted as heat when the machine is actually doing its job. And finally, there's replacement costs. That higher failure rate isn't just some number on a spreadsheet. It is a ticking clock on a really expensive problem you have to budget for. To really see the whole picture, we need a special tool. It's called Total Cost of Ownership, or TCO. Honestly, this is how smart businesses make these huge decisions. It forces you to look way beyond that initial price tag and add up every single cost: the purchase, the energy it eats, the maintenance, the potential replacement over the entire life of the thing. And when we actually map this out, the results are, well, they're staggering. Just look at the total cost over 25 years. That cheap Tier 3 transformer, the one on the left, ends up costing almost $133,000 once you factor in all that wasted energy and the higher risk of it failing. Now look at the Tier 1 unit. Yeah, the initial price is way higher, but because it's so much more efficient, its total cost is just over $103,000. The so-called cheaper option actually costs you way more in the long run.
Just let that sink in for a second. By spending more money up front on the quality unit, you end up saving nearly $30,000. That's a 22% savings on your total cost, all because you chose efficiency over a cheap sticker price. That, my friends, is the power of thinking in TCO.
All right, so TCO is the way to go. It's the right way to think. But how do you actually use this in the real world? The market can be super confusing, but it really just boils down to 3 simple tiers of manufacturers. So at the very top, you've got Tier 1. These are the heavy hitters, the big global names you've probably heard of, like ABB and Siemens. They've got the highest prices for sure, but they also give you the absolute best efficiency and the lowest failure rates. If you're running a hospital or a data center, places where a single hour of downtime can cost more than $300,000, well, failure is just not an option. This is the tier for you.
Now, in the middle, you have Tier 2. This is where things get interesting. These are regional specialists like XBRELE or Hammond Power. They offer a really fantastic balance between performance and cost. Yeah, their failure rates are a little bit higher than Tier 1, but their prices are a lot lower. These are the workhorses for your standard factories and commercial buildings, places where you need solid reliability without that top-tier price tag. And finally, we have Tier 3. These are the budget manufacturers, and they are laser-focused on one thing: the lowest possible purchase price. But to get that price, you're making a trade. You're giving up efficiency, reliability, and support. Their failure rate is 5 to 6 times higher than Tier 1. This tier is really only an option when upfront cash is the absolute #1 priority, and you're willing to live with a significant risk of failure down the road.
Okay, now that we get the tiers, let's put some names to the faces. Let's meet some of the key players out there and see how their specific strengths line up with different kinds of needs.
First up, from Tier 1, let's talk about ABB. If you had to pick one word to describe these guys, it would be efficiency. They are absolutely obsessed with squeezing every last tiny fraction of a percent of performance out of their machines.
And with ABB, the trade-off is crystal clear. What you get is industry-leading efficiency and an incredible global service network. The downside? You're going to pay the highest price, and you'll probably wait the longest for a custom order. This makes them the perfect fit for places where energy costs are a huge chunk of the budget, like a utility company or a massive data center.
Next, let's look at a major player from Tier 2, XBRELE. You can think of them as the smart alternative, the challenger brand that's all about delivering the absolute best bang for your buck.
The value proposition from XBRELE is pretty compelling. I mean, they're dramatically cheaper than Tier 1, and they can turn around custom units incredibly fast. This makes them a fantastic choice for industrial plants, especially if you're replacing older equipment or you're on a tight budget, but you still need solid, reliable performance.
Now, let's look at another Tier 1 player, but one with a really specific focus, Eaton. These guys are the dominant force in the North American market.
Eaton's real strength is its deep specialization for the US and Canadian markets. They're experts at handling a specific kind of electrical noise called harmonics. You can think of it like electrical static that pollutes the power lines in modern buildings, created by all of our computers and electronics. And this is exactly where their special K-factor rating comes into play.
So, what on earth is a K-factor rating? Well, to put it simply, it's just a measure of how well a transformer can handle the extra heat that gets generated by all our modern electronics, like computers and variable speed motors. A higher K-factor just means the transformer is built tough enough to handle that punishing, dirty power without overheating.
So we've met the players, we understand the different tiers. How do you actually pull all of this together and make the right choice for your project? Well, let's walk through a super simple guide. It really just comes down to 3 simple steps. First, define what you're doing. A hospital's power needs are totally different from a small workshop's, right? Second, you have to prioritize. What matters most to you? Is it avoiding downtime no matter what, or is it hitting a super strict budget? And finally, you just match those priorities to the right tier. And here it is, basically a cheat sheet. If reliability is absolutely everything, you're going with Tier 1. Simple. For a standard factory, that perfect balance of a Tier 2 is probably your sweet spot. If you need a fast, custom-fit solution for a replacement, a Tier 2 specialist is your best bet. And only, and I mean only, if the lowest possible initial price is your sole concern for a non-critical load, should you even think about Tier 3.
Look, if you only take one thing away from all this, let it be this. The lowest purchase price almost never equals the lowest total cost. A smart investment isn't measured by the price you negotiate on day one, it's measured by the total cost you pay over 25 years.
And that really leads to one last thought. This whole principle of looking beyond the sticker price, it doesn't just apply to transformers. So the question I'll leave you with is, where else, in your business or maybe even in your personal life, could this way of thinking unlock some hidden value and lead to some massive long-term savings?